Considering the present world situation, the possibility of a nuclear catastrophe is more apparent than ever before. A Pandora's box has been opened, and now it is up to all of us to close it. This is not a problem that politicians can solve. Our salvation depends on the transforming power of human hearts. Only in the center of our being will we be able to find the guidance necessary to prevent our extinction.
Controversial and always outspoken, G. Mark Mulleian's paintings speak of war and human consciousness. He was instrumental in the cultural clash of combining the multimedia mainstream press and the subculture press of the gay community on an international scale. G. Mark Mulleian has captured the public's imagination for more than 4 decades. He has received extensive press coverage both within and outside of the United States. Today, moving into the 21st century, he is embracing the power of the internet to progress his quest for peace through his amazing website, Mulleian.com, where he is reaching millions worldwide. In 1986, he was presented with an International Art Achievement Award by the Artist Society International, one of the art world's most prestigious awards.
Insightful, mysterious, and controversial, his style is called transrealism, where the artist observes all of the refined elements that our life here on Earth has to offer. The stirring up of conflict is a Luciferian virtue in the true sense of the word, conflict, and engenders fire, the fire of affects and emotions. And like every other fire, it has 2 aspects, that of combustion and that of creating light, writes Carl Jung. Dies Irae, the cornucopia of Mulleian's works, and perhaps the best known. It is also one of the most complex in terms of conception, composition, and symbolic representation, a painting of symphonic dimensions. The image depicts a highly dramatic vision, biblical in scale, of the moment before the end of all moments, the moment before the end of all human sentience, the split second before the chance of choice is gone from human grasp forever. A presence on top of the tree of peace, which rises and descends, flying directly into the blast, compelled by the second, seminal light to receive its calling of guardianship of transformative hope. The belief of American Indians is that the eagle is a messenger sent by the Creator.
What is this welling fury, this roiling of the sea, this turgid, monstrous swelling, this breaking surface of the deep? Could it be Leviathan, fresh sworn from the mouth of hell, boiling, bursting forth in dark dystopian splendor, engorged, ebullient, spewing fiery bile to sear indelibly, an ominous reply to the hubris of mankind? Where once we lived by wit and natural instinct, rooted in harmony and secured within existence as one living instrument among the many, cadenced rhythms of the seasons ruled, and the harmonies of spirit animated all. Like the passion from the hands of a fine violinist, ever so refining of itself, man's voice soared high within the greater whole, a solo bank of strings within symphonic registers. His role? To amplify this wondrous resonance as an echo of the greater natural pulse. But in time, the integrity of our quest for truth has been deformed. Through unthoughtful alliances and short-sighted miscalculations, our world evolves into a monster of our own design. But in so doing, by sheer default, we'll usher in the age of truth. From the beginning, the laws of natural order foresaw the outcome of this metamorphosis. Long before the fishes charted course beneath its surface of the deep, long before man first walked the surface of the earth, subduing, possessing, ordaining himself ruler over all. Now man, bereft of foothold, stumbles to comprehend, bound not to a violin, but to the handle of a pick. No longer an instrument to inspire, discover, nor to build. Instead, a tool to dominate, exploit, and destroy. professing altruistic, patriotic intent while enacting a predatory pragmatism in the service of self. He becomes a living instrument of self-destruction. No longer free to stake his natural claim to the fullness of human destiny as part of the greater whole, his calloused, lifeless hand gestures this way to what once was. Lying now in wake, unwitting pawn of avaricious force, complicit as a would-be master of the universe, would-be destroyer of the fragile balance of all things, there is no one other than himself to mourn. But long before humanity's aspirations for our greatest human potential begin to fade into obscurity forever, where hope and human consciousness vanish into darkness, nature intervenes to compensate, correct, restore the balance. Now begins her overture, resonating her voice through us, elevating us to a greater perception through the powers of creativity, gateway to the soul. If we acknowledge that we are within the eternal mind of nature, which moves and works through us in sustaining itself, we become an irreversible truth, which frees us from our own enslavement and ultimate distinction. But in the end, this polarizing discord, this war between man and nature, will be settled on nature's terms. For us to see the greater natural order, we must allow nature to see through our eyes. But with circumspection, we must also hear the intrinsic natural harmonies that nature has instilled in us from the beginning. For this to happen, we must listen, but we must also hear equally as much with heart as with mind, and as much with sense as intuition. Hence are the true forces of man and nature.
We are on a collision course. There has never been a time in history in which humanity's misguided aspirations stand in such conflict with our very existence. That existence now hangs in the balance between the forces of man and nature. We must come to understand and appreciate our true purpose, that we can be partners in the creation of a more fully evolved world. To ignore the signs of the times is to risk all.